Hey everybody, welcome to the Computer Science 40S remote learning tutorial. Let's get started right away. Okay everybody, so remember this tutorial was designed for the Computer Science 40S course to cover the content of the unit that we didn't have time to cover because of this year's pandemic and remote learning situation, and that unit is collections. But in addition to covering that unit, it also is going to touch on some extra stuff and some stuff, because this is Computer Science 40S, for those of you moving on into possibly studying computer science after high school, or studying IB computer science or AP computer science, or essentially anything moving beyond this 40S course. I wanted to throw a little of that extra stuff in there as well and make something that would be interesting. However, this tutorial is designed to be done in 1 hour of time. It's a fast hour, so for some of you it's going to be more than an hour. But if you spread that out over the 2 weeks of remote learning, it's just a little bit to do each day moving forward. All right, so as you can see, I've gone to the Computer Science 40S page, and I'm going to be opening this document, which guides you through the process of creating this thing. And once we're done recording this video link will be active as well. All right, so I'm opening the document, and this PDF goes through it step by step. And it starts by suggesting that you go to this website. So I'm going to do that. You can actually click on it right here on the PDF. It opens it up in another tab. And then as the tutorial mentions, you will then download this tutorial, the code and the zip file, and open it up. So let's do that. We go here, we click code, and click download zip. It's going to download. I'm going to then open that file. And then I'm going to click extract it. I'm just going to browse and put it, say, on my desktop for now, and extract it. Closing those. Now I'm going to use NetBeans, and I'm going to open that project we just downloaded. Open, go to my desktop, and the project should be called Tutorials Create. So that's what it's called. So I'm going to open it. And as you'll see, as you open this thing, it has within it, one, two, three, four, 5 packages. You should know what packages are. We studied them in the advanced classes unit, and even all the way back to the recursion unit, we first started using packages to organize into namespaces our various Java files. You will also find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Java files within the various packages for this project. So 90% of this project is already done for you. What's missing is 2 of these Java files are incomplete. That's why they're showing an error. So you're going to be adding code into those 2 Java files. However, even those 2 Java files are already partially coded. So you're not coding the entire file, just some of it. In addition to the code you're going to be putting in to make this tutorial work, you'll also be adding comments into the code, and the comments will essentially act as notes to help you understand the content that this tutorial is trying to teach you in a quick sort of crash course kind of way. All right, so that's what this document would have you do, just as we just did now, okay? And then, as it says here, you're going to start by opening the first file, CS40S tutorial. So let's do that. Here it is, CS40S tutorial. Double click it, and that should open it. Okay. Here. Okay, so as you can probably see, a lot of this is already done. As a matter of fact, this 40S tutorial file is completely done. All the code is all done. All it is a method called main that launches something else. However, there is, what I would like you guys to do is take the time to read through all this stuff. Read through the comments. You can see this comment basically takes you back to the site. That's already done. But then it goes on to explain what's going on in the code here. So that's how you're going to learn. Okay, if you're just doing this to complete your credit and to complete this unit, obviously you're going to skim that in a little less detail. If those of you who are going on into computer science and you want to really learn this stuff and not, feel kind of ripped off for not getting this unit in the formal way, then definitely take the time to read through that. All right, so what would we do next? As you can see here, this is already coded. You do not need to modify it. Look through the code, read the comments, and now open uiview.java to follow the instructions. So let's do that. uiview can be found right here. This Java file is a designer file. So it's got the design already done for you. There's nothing for you to work on here. The design is already finished. So that's what it says here in the tutorial. The design is already completed. You do not need to modify it unless you kind of want to. You can make modifications, but we need to look at the source code. So you're going to click on source up here to get to the source code. And again, the source code is already completed. All the code is completed for you. Everything is done. However, here's where something comes into play. It says, you are responsible for adding an explanation comment to the code. So there's a comment here called explanation that you are required to put into your tutorial. This is essentially the notes on what this tutorial has already been completed for you. So again, depending on your timeline, you could certainly take this as it is and key it in there, or I'm going to give you a secondary shortcut to speed up your timeline if you're falling behind on this tutorial, because again, I wanted it to fit in that 1 hour time frame. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to our website, and in addition to this document, you'll notice that there is a second link here to a PDF of all of the code. So I'm going to click on that, and here it is, all of the code in a PDF. So I can scroll through it. And even when I get to uiview right here, here is that explanation comment. I can select it right off the PDF, right click and copy it, take it right over, and where it says add comment here, I can paste it right in there. It's a little bit of a cheat, I get it. So I'm gonna kind of make a philosophical point here. Sure, in a lot of ways this will make this tutorial very fast for you to copy and paste a lot of this code. I understand that. It depends kind of how you want to approach this. So I'll make an analogy to like learning in a history class. In a history class, your teacher will say, hey, why don't you take notes on this new lesson I'm teaching? And a lot of students will say, well, why don't you just give us the notes and then we don't have to take them? And the teacher might make the justification that by doing the notes, it helps you to learn the concepts. Well, that could be true here as well. So sure, you can copy and paste the comment over, but really if you're not going to key it in, definitely take the time later to read the comment, to understand what I'm trying to teach you here in this condensed timeline, if you really want to learn this stuff. Okay, so that's now done. We now have 2 of the 10 Java files completely done. One thing I would also recommend is in each of these class codes, you want to change the author name to your name for this. Don't leave it set as my name. That's what I did when I put it up there, but I expect you to redo that with your name on there and your date. It's not December of 2020. It's whatever date you're doing this tutorial on. All right, now on the document sheet itself, if you were to go back to the original tutorial document, it then explains all of this. Complete this comment, read through the code, and read through all the comments as well. And then open the file called meme.java. Okay? So I do expect you to actually read through the code and the comments I put in there so you know what I've already put in there, so you kind of can get a feel for how this program would have worked, right? Sort of looking under the engine of it. In addition, at the top of the code is the same comment that explains that you comment the project, examine the code, read all the comments, and then go to meme.java. And then you would put in another explanation comment for meme.java. So let's do that next. Open up meme.java. And now I'm going to look at for its explanation comment. I can do that from here, or I can go to that PDF and scroll down to where I get to meme, and I can take its explanation comment and copy and paste it over into my tutorial. Okay, and again, I would recommend you later then go and read this to understand what you just pasted in there. What is this thing called meme.java? What is this thing implements and serializable and stuff like that? This will help you to learn it. Now, implements is something you've learned in previous units, but how is this tied into this thing? This is the first example of using a linked list, so you can kind of get a feel for what this unit called collections is about here. Okay, next thing on our to-do list is to go to the dialogues.java class. So I'm going to open that one. You can see that one right here in your tutorial. And I'm going to go get its explanation comment right off that PDF. Here's dialogues. Here's the explanation comment. Copy it and paste it. Now, as you can see, if you read this comment, this class called dialogues is actually one that's been available for a while. There's a link right here that says this. If you were to actually go to this link, it's the help page of Computer Science 40S. And in this help page, there was always available code for you, whether you're working on an assignment or a final project. You could have opened this GitHub page, and this is something that was available in the 30S course as well. But in there, you would have found a dialogues class, which would have helped you with a lot of the stuff that this tutorial is already doing. So it's not like this could have been the first time you've encountered this code. But anyways, that's what's said in the comment. Now we're going to go to the images.java class and do the same thing. Images you'll find in a different package, a package of tools. So this is a class for working with images, providing you with tools for working with this. This one here was a I/O package. I/O stands for input output. So the dialogues class is for giving the user inputs, getting inputs from the user and providing outputs. Whether it's simple things like JOption pane, is what the dialogues class focuses on, or the one that we're going to be working on in a few minutes, the one called file handler, which actually saves data and opens data out of a file, a permanent saved file. Anywho, let's do images next. Here it is, and we need to get our explanation comment. So we're going to go to further down the PDF here. Dialogues is long, so it's going to scroll for a while here. And here is images. Here is that explanation comment. And I know I'm cheating to stay within the 1 hour time limit, but again, it's something you're going to have to do. Now, when you paste in code that's copied off a PDF, especially one off the internet, it's not necessarily going to do a perfect job. You'll see when we get to the code part that you're going to have to spend a little bit of time cleaning that code up. It's going to make some mistakes. Often a simple mistake it makes is it will take away one of the spaces that maybe was in there. So you kind of have to sometimes add in some spaces and fix up some spellos and things like that. But we'll get to that as we move along through this tutorial. That's images. Now we're going to do, the next one is numbers. Open it up. Go down to get the explanation comment. Sometimes this is hard to copy. There we go. And here, as I mentioned, is these little issues with spaces that come up here. Okay, that's all good. Next is the file handler.java file one. Okay, let's add in its explanation comment. Scroll further down. Numbers is a little bit longer as well. A lot of this code is not used by this tutorial. It's used for you as a exemplar of different things you can use with working with numbers and things like that. That's why it's called numbers. It's a class you can insert into a project and work with numbers. Always I write the code at a level that you're at. I don't write it at some concept that you haven't learned yet. Okay, so here's our file handler code. Now file handler is the same thing. It's at a level you're at, assuming you've done this studying on file handling. which is an extras unit in the 40S course. It's a required unit in the IB course, but here it is, the explanation comment for file handler done. Next up, UI controller. Now this one, UI controller, is again another sort of advanced concept here beyond the 40S course. So again, for those of you, especially this one would be one for those of you who might want to do this eventually as a job, this would definitely be some comments you'd want to read, because I tried to go beyond the academic side of computer science and look at something that's a little more on the sort of industry side of computer science, what people who work in this industry do using this thing called an MVC pattern. That's a little old now, but patterns like that, where you can sort of separate your user interface from the logic that it connects to. So I'm going to grab that explanation comment. That's why that comment's a little bit longer. It explains that. And I'm going to put that into here. Okie dokie. Okay, so if we were back on the original tutorial document, this is all the stuff we would have done here through UI controller. And then as you can see, it gets to this. It says, now we're going to look at something called node.java. Now this is not one we're just putting a comment in. This is a partially coded class where we're going to have to add code in and then debug any errors that are going to come up, okay? You are responsible for all areas that are marked with a comment that says note. So that's the parts where you're going to add the code in, including comments as well. So we're going to do that together right now. And yes, you can get that from the PDF, or you can key it in yourself, kind of based on whatever sort of your timeline is in there. Obviously, this tutorial is going to go much faster if you're doing the copying and pasting, possibly like this video, under an hour in time. But I wanted it designed so it could fit into your timeline, so you could go back and read through the comments and still sort of gain knowledge of this unit. I would also like to point out at this point that, especially if you're a student who's moving on into computer science, you feel like, well, this kind of sucks, Mr. Wax. I really wanted to learn about collections. I really wanted to learn all this stuff. Well, there's nothing stopping you from still going in to look at the content on Computer Science 40S of collections. You could read it, you could watch the videos, you could do the examples. That's still there for you. What I'm talking about here with this pandemic and the remote learning period is what I'm assessing for this unit called collections, in lieu of taking the time to go through it in a formal way. Okay, and you should know that. We talked about that before winter break started. Okay, so we're going to open node.java, which has some errors in it. Okay, you can see that here in NetBeans. These lines represent lines that have errors in them. Okay, so we're going to have to fix those. Okay, and you can see here in the comment, it's partially coded. We'll have missing code. You'll have to complete the class and therefore work towards completing the tutorial. You are responsible for all areas marked with note. So theoretically, you could start scrolling down, and the second you see the word note, you know that's something I need to add in. So you could do it from the tutorial document right here. Oh, I'll be adding this in. Or you could go back to the original PDF, or sorry, the PDF of just the code, scroll down to the section on node, and then you could grab, for example, this comment right here. Copy it, paste it, okay? And then possibly fix it up, any little errors that you think you need to fix. Okay, so now I'll keep scrolling down. And as I scroll, I should be reading, what is this node.class? Like, what is this about? Note, add the class properties and the comments below. Okay, scrolling down. So here are those class properties and their comments that go with them. Copy, paste. So here you can see a first example of where it didn't do a very good job of pasting it over. It missed a space right there, and there, and there, and the indent is all kind of messed up. So I'm going to fix that too. Okay, cleaning up the code from that copy-paste procedure might take a few minutes. Now, if you keyed it in yourself, you wouldn't have that problem. You would have got it there. But even when you do the copy paste, there's going to be some work you're going to have to do to get this up and running. Okay, now it says add the first class constructor below. The other constructors are already done. You can see one right there. It says, although these constructors have errors, their errors will disappear once this constructor is added. Okay, here is that constructor and its comment. Copy, paste. Okay, I got some fix up to do here. Once again, it missed a space right there. Once that's fixed, you'll notice it fixes the other ones. But again, I got a problem here with how it did this. Now I'm going to give you a tip to fix indenting problems that's pretty quick using NetBeans. It's a tip that I taught you way back at the beginning of grade 11. There are some nice NetBeans things that you can quickly do if you look at this thing called the keyboard shortcuts card, which is just a name for this PDF that comes up. You might remember there was one tip here, Alt-Shift-F, automatically formats your code and cleans it up. Now, if you have a piece of code selected, it'll format that. So let's do exactly that. I'm going to select this code I just pasted in and press Alt-Shift-F, and look at that. It cleans it up for me perfectly. All right, so I'm going to keep scrolling down. Here's the nodes, constructors. We get to another note here. The toString method needs to be cleaned up and added. An overloaded method of the object class, something we learned in the advanced classes unit. So I'm going to scroll down. Here's toString. Not much code, but I'm going to add it in. Copy, paste. I'm also going to clean it. Sometimes when you clean it, if it's an if statement in a way I wrote it, it might clean it a little differently by adding brackets. That's fine. No problem with that whatsoever, but there it is. Going down to equals, same thing. So I'm going to jump here to equals. Here is that code, about 5 or 6 lines of code. Paste it in. In this case, if I don't want to use Alt-Shift, I can just manually tab it in and clean it up that way. Or I could use that Alt-Shift-F to automatically format that code into a slightly nicer format. Looks good. Okay, now scroll down to the next note is under finalize, and that will be the end of the node class. So we're almost done the node class. Scrolling down, here's finalize. Just has 3 lines of code. Copy and paste it. Select it and format it. Oops, let's go back and format it. Okay? Now, you don't have to keep the notes once you've done them. I won't deduct marks if you do, but if you want to clean up your code even further, you could then go back and take out all the notes themselves, because those are just comments to show you where you would be adding in the code. Okay? And now you have essentially a completed node class. All done, all looking good. Okay, all the code's in there. All the comments are in there. Okay, and even take this little comment out here, that node there. Right, like all looking good. Okay, this comment at the top of there that I put in there could also be removed if you want to. Okay, I'm not requiring it. I'm just saying something like a node class, something you might be reusing in the future, that might be something you could consider, is removing that comment. Okay, back to the tutorial. Back to the original tutorial document. Having completed the node class, the last part of this tutorial, okay, is to now do the exact same thing on the linked list class. That's the final piece here. There's some code we're going to clean up to finish that there. As it was with the node class, you're responsible for all code and all comments and all cleanup and all fixing it to make sure it works. And once that linked list class, and here for the original tutorial document, I split it into a 2-page view to really kind of show you that this is going to be long. The linked list is a long piece of code to go through. But I'm also going to just scroll ahead here on the original PDF. So we're on page 47 of the 63 pages of this. So there's some work to go here. So let's open, I'm going to close all these. These are all done now. And open this last one, just called linked list, which will be the final one, and then we'll be able to actually run this thing and make sure it works. Okie dokie. Let's get started with the linked list. You can see here it even says, after completing this, examining the existing code, then I want you to run this program, debug it if necessary, and get it ready to hand it in. Okay, so we're in the final stretch here. It's a long stretch, but we're in the final stretch. So we come down to the first note, and while I'm doing this, I'm going to be deleting those notes as I'm doing it. First part of the class comment here. Okay. So here is the comment for the linked list class. Definitely want to read this. Linked list is a huge part of post-secondary studies of computer science. So you really want to understand what I was going to be spending all that time teaching you in this collections unit on linked lists. Okay. Bugs me that it's missing one space there. There we go. There's the comment. Scroll down. Don't forget to change your author name and your date. Now we're going to add some properties. Here they are. Come on, you can do this. There we go. Copy. Paste. Okay, we got some work to do. I've got to put the spaces in there, and I'm going to auto format it to clean it up. Okay? Changes even comments sometimes. Not a problem. All right, let's keep scrolling. Linked list, linked list, linked list. Don't see any notes yet. Ah, here's my first note. Adding to the front of a linked list. How does this method work? So let's go down and find add to the front. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to grab this code inside the method, including comments. Copy. Replacing the note with that code. Oh man. Well, no errors, that's good. But I got to clean this code up. There we go. Now it's looking better. Now, even with cleanup, sometimes the comments might be a little weird. So I'm going to actually indent those because that didn't come out the way I thought it would. So that looks a lot better now. Adding to the front. Adding to the back. Same thing. Copy. Paste. Clean it up. Looks good. Okay. So this is the process now. Okay. So now we'll go look for the next note. It's coming up right away. This method called get. Just 2 lines for this one. And clean them up. Looks good. Set. Okay. Wait a minute. Get and set. That was again something we covered in our advanced classes unit. Accessor mutator methods. Now this one might be a little tricky because the code kind of didn't copy and paste properly. So this one might not be the best case scenario here, but let's see what happens here when I try to put set in there. Okay. This is one I think you definitely want to double check to make sure. It looks like it put it in twice here, the same piece of code twice. So I don't need it twice. Once is more than enough. But I may want to just double check that with the original document under set. Here it is. If in range, return false. If data equals null, return false. Should be those 2 if statements. Let's just double check that. Yeah, that's what it was. Okay. Let's go to the next note. There's no notes yet. Okay, here. Removing or deleting the first node of the list, otherwise known as the head of this list. And then you can see right after it, remove the back or the tail of the list. Okay, let's go find that code. Here we go. Copy. Paste. Okay, we got some spacing issues to fix up. Didn't paste it in properly. And then some indenting and cleaning up to do, but then we're good there. Now it's cleaned up. Okay, now remove back. It'll be basically the same thing. A lot of these methods are basically the same method. So you're doing it twice. Remove the front, remove the back. The actual logic inside the method is slightly different. And that's definitely something you'd want to analyze on your time to see what the difference between these two methods are. Whereas this one uses the word head, this one uses the word tail. These ones use .previous, .next, whereas these ones use .next, .previous. So there are subtle differences there, for sure. If you really want to learn about collections, you definitely want to spend the time reading or going onto the videos where I teach this formally. All right, where's the next note? Add after. Grabbing the code, copying it over, cleaning it up, moving on to add before. Copying the code, pasting it over, cleaning it up. Now I keep scrolling until I get to remove. Copying the code. Pasting it over. Cleaning it up. Keep scrolling down. We're getting close now. We're getting near the bottom. Lot to scroll through here. No notes at this point. So we get near the bottom. ToString again. Okay. Let's get down to ToString. So you will have to pay attention as you do this to make sure you're in the right area. So there's a lot of potential for error here. Even with the copy-paste system, there's potential that you could mess it up unless you are paying attention here. Okay, here's the ToString code. And paste. And got some little errors to fix up here. And then some cleanup to do here. Okay, equals. Copying it over. Cleaning it up. And keep scrolling. One thing left to do. Get node, a protected method. Ooh, another concept from advanced classes. Let's go down to get node and grab that code. And fix the error and clean up the code. Hitting save. I'm seeing no errors on my linked list class and no errors on any of my classes. It's time for the big run. Now, to get ready for this run, I need a couple pictures to test my meme database. So I'm going to get a couple Trump pictures here. Little Trump meme. And let's do that one. And that one. So this one, I'm going to actually save it. Save the image. I'll just put it right on my desktop. And I hate when it does that. I'm just going to switch that to JPG. And I will call it Trump point. With this one, I'm not going to download it off the internet. Instead, I'm just going to copy the image address, where this image is on the internet. Okay, let's run our tutorial, see if it works. Fingers are crossed. Here it is. Okay, looks good. So I'm going to start with a meme image from the internet, and I'm going to paste in that thing I had copied. And hopefully that picture, oh, there it is. There's the picture of Trump. And let's add some keywords. So obviously it's Trump. That's a keyword. and it's hair. That's a good keyword for this one. And the idea with the linked list is you can add as many keywords as you want. The linked list is a dynamic data structure that just keeps adding and adding and adding and adding. If I don't like a keyword, like I put in cat, and I realize, well, that doesn't really fit, okay? And then like wave, well, that one does fit, he's waving, but cats doesn't fit. I can delete that selected keyword. Yes, and now it's removed from the list. Now that I've got this all set up, I'm going to save this meme. So now over here, the meme keyword trump and the different keywords and the URL from where it got it from, if I click on it, it shows back up over here, is all set. Now I'm going to select a meme from a file. This time I'm going to go to the desktop and select that Trump Point JPEG file. There it is. Now I'll add some keywords. Trump Point. Looks like it's working. I'm going to save this meme. And now I've got the two different memes up here. And I could keep going. It's my meme database. But what I'm going to do is now I'm going to test out some of the stuff down here. So I'm going to clear this. I'm going to do that meme again. Desktop. Trump Point. There it is. Let's say I didn't really have much for keywords here. Actually, you can save it without keywords, I believe. There it is. There's no keywords. So I'm going to delete that meme. Because you can see here that actually causes an error. I guess I never tested that. So that meme is deleted from my collection of memes here. The other two memes are good. Each meme and its keywords. Oh, this one looks like it didn't save the keywords. So let's delete that meme. Let's go back and make sure I got that image address. Oops. Let's put it in from the internet. Let's put in Trump and wave and hair. We'll save that meme as well. So I got the one that I have from the wave one and the one that's coming from the file. Okay, not sure why that image isn't loading. Nonetheless, let's save our meme list. I'm going to save it to the desktop. Meme list. Save. And I'm closing my database down. And I'm rerunning my database. This time I'm going to open the meme list from my desktop. There's the meme list. Here's the two memes. Well, that picture didn't work. This one did, the one I saved from the file. Something's wrong with that other one. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to try and add it again. Copy image address. Actually, let me clear this first. Okay, let's try this. Trump hair wave. Save that meme. So the one that's from the file, and okay, that looks good. So I'm going to save this meme list. I'm going to just call it meme list again. Closing it down. And let's run that tutorial again. Open the list. And there we go. There's the list. Oh yeah, sometimes it takes a second for it to work. There we go. There's our working meme database. It now works. It's exactly what we said. There is one more feature. You can search your memes. So if I search for point, it will find the memes that have that keyword in there. So it searches through all the keywords of all the memes. If I, for example, search for Trump, now Trump is a keyword in both of them, it'll find the first one. If I search for hair, hair is only in the second one, it'll find that one. So it's a full working meme database for you guys. And that, kids, will be the completion of the 40S remote learning tutorial. Have yourselves a good day, and let me know if you need any help with any of this.